Hello everyone and welcome back to the Part 1 HTML Basics lecture. Let's start off by exploring the very basics of what an HTML file looks like and how we can open it in a browser. Plus, we'll learn about some Atom text editor convenience features to quickly create HTML files. I'm going to jump to the Atom text editor now. Alright, here I am at the Atom text editor. As a quick note, you can either just code along and create new files in the project folders that are provided for you as a download to the course, or you can add your new project folders or new files as you go along. It's really up to you. You can always just right-click and click a new file, new folder, or just add a whole new project folder so you can see a new folder over here. It's really up to you. I've already created a project folder. I've called it HTML_level_1. And another quick note, try to avoid using just spaces in your folder names and in your file names. You should always try to replace them with something like an underscore to make sure that you can read the whole file path with your computer. Sometimes spaces will mess a computer up in reading the actual file path. So just a quick note on that. Okay, let's start off by creating a new file, and we will call it basics.html. And we can do uppercase or lowercase here. I'll just keep it simple with lowercase, because that's usually what they look like. Alright, so here's basics.html, and one thing I want to show you is I can begin to type HTML, and you'll notice that Atom Text Editor has this little pop-up that says HTML. If I hit enter when I see that pop-up, I will get the basically boilerplate code, as it's called, or the skeleton code of an HTML file. Now let's walk through this and explain what's actually going on. In this very first line, we see something that says doctype HTML. And that's something you're going to find in pretty much all HTML files, and that basically just tells the browser, hey, you're looking at an HTML file. And then we have the HTML tags. You'll notice we have an opening tag here at the line number 2, and a closing tag over at line number 10. And the difference between an opening and a closing tag is it just lets you know when it starts and when it stops. And the closing, we'll notice, has a little / in it. And what's nice about Atom Text Editor is you'll see these little arrows pop up, which just allow you to collapse or open things between their opening and closing tags. So that's just for organization. Then we have two major sections, the head of the HTML file and the body of the HTML file. Let's start off by just explaining what the head is. The head of the HTML, which is this first section, is going to contain the metadata. And for this first section of the course, the HTML level 1, we won't be doing a whole lot with the actual head of the HTML. That will come into play a lot more when we actually use CSS and JavaScript. But it's going to mainly serve as how to link your HTML document to other types of files, such as your CSS file or your .js JavaScript file. But another tag that we notice that's an HTML head is this title tag. And that's basically what's going to show up as the title when you open this up in a browser. And the title is just what's shown in the tab. So I'm going to type in between this title tag, something like this is the title, ! And notice I don't need any quotes here, it's just pure text in between these tags, and HTML will recognize it. And then this other meta data is just telling you what character set you would expect, and that's UTF-8 encoding. Don't worry about that too much right now. Then finally we have the body, and the body is going to contain the actual content. We're going to be discussing actual content such as paragraphs and lists, etc. throughout this section of the course. Right now we'll leave the body blank. The last thing I want to show you before we actually view this HTML file in our browser is how to comment code. So in HTML, comments look like this. You do a opening tag, ! dash, and that says that's the start of the comment, and then the end of the comment is dash, that other closing sign. And then anything here is a comment. The other quick way to do this is if you have some text or a line of code, you can just do Control or Command, depending on your OS, /, and Atom and Sublime Text Editor will actually just auto comment everything there. Or if you wanted to, you could actually highlight many lines and then do Control / to comment or Control / to uncomment. Alright, so anything in between those two types of tags is a comment, and it's just Control or Command / to quickly make a line or multiple lines an actual comment. I'm going to do Control S here to save this, and let's open this up in our browser. So the way we open this up in our browser is by just passing in the entire file path into the browser. For now, we're going to be just running things locally, so that's how it will work. I'm going to right-click on my HTML file and then say copy full path. So I will copy the full path to that, and then let me bring in a browser window. And here's a browser window, and what I can do is right where my URL browser usually goes, I'm going to just copy and paste that file path. So this is just the whole file path to that actual HTML file. I hit enter and I notice something that's just basically a blank page. And that makes sense, we haven't provided any content or HTML content in the body of our HTML file. But what we do notice is this. Our little "this is the title" in the title actually showed up. Perfect. So that's really all there is for the very basics of an HTML file. What an HTML file mostly will be, as we work with it, are the actual body tags. So let's go ahead and continue on by editing this file with body tags in part 2 in the next lecture. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you there.